Okay, so I decoded a lot more. So this is to go with Listen Next 750 and 751. Again, you can find me at christinastation918.com. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so more on Jean Jernigan Roberts and her Charles Manson occult doing the World Trade Center attack, Benghazi, attacking NASA. Okay, so here we go. So back to Alma School in Southern. So she used Kiefer Sutherland for that show, right? And that went to the logo that they used for that show. It's called Rabbit Hole is the name of the show. And that it goes to my jigsaw puzzle. And it's of two of my good friends from when I was in junior high. Okay, so Kiefer Sutherland goes to Southern, Alma School in Southern. So it's Southern. Then also my future husband, who Gene also ice raped and stalked him and his family all their lives. His name is in it too, and that's Sutton. And then you're going to have to see all coded, see my podcast on Dallas, the TV show Dallas. Remember how I told you Jean Roberts when I lived in Oklahoma City? In my brain, she pre-planned to do this whole stint. Who's the father of Jesse? And people are like, nobody gives a shit. And she wanted to do this who shot up JR, but who shot up Jean Jernigan Roberts, thinking she was fucking cute and she'd get away with the fucking shit. She probably did that stint because she probably was going to use it and do a clip and stitch. Like, she does her Kentucky, commits one crime and then commits another, and then switch the words around and then try to make jokes. Her white peopling is probably what she was going to do with that. Well, you and the military that was on with you, because I had military on with you at the time, are like, nobody gives a shit who Jesse's dad is. Anyway, so also in my books of decode, where I decoded on paper, I decoded South Fork and Ash Fork, and I was getting an East Fork. South Fork, Ash Fork, and East Fork, I was getting all scrambled in my brain because they're all significant to me. But like I told you, more than one way, all of it means something. So it goes to, South Fork goes to Dallas, the TV show. So it's Dallas and South Fork. And then also, Kiefer is milk. Okay. Then also, East Fork is a location in the White Mountains in Arizona. Remember I told you I found one of the triangles there. Okay, so, which is not Auckland, but it's adjacent to Auckland, which is the main one under the valley. So you're going to see all code on White Mountains because Jean Roberts killed a civil rights leader, or kidnapped a civil rights leader in the White Mountains in New York. So you see a link into New York. And then there's White Mountains in Arizona, where I spent every summer just about growing up. Then another thing she did was to the planes, trains, and automobiles part of this. She also used Lionel Richie's children, Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. Okay. Remember their TV show, The Simple Life? Okay. So also The Simple Life, people are saying that also in my brain. They're also saying that goes to her future terror plots when she said everything would be blown back to. She said blown back, but there's probably some of that she has planned. Everything is going to go back to biblical times, the amount of terrorism she has planned between plagues and natural disasters and typical terrorism that we see of, such as explosions. And then they said to me in Oklahoma City, if Jean can be stopped, the times will probably be a lot like Little House on the Prairie times, like the early 1800s. if we're lucky. But Gene has already committed that much terrorism that's what we're looking at best cause, is what I was told when I lived in Oklahoma City. So Simple Life goes to that. So also the Simple Life, they traveled around in a motorhome. So that would go to the planes, trains, and automobiles. And then someone told me on my brain, they said, you know what? They said, Lionel Richie himself probably knows, just like every artist, every celebrity, every politician knows, that just in his family being cast in that alone, when he started getting your decode or seeing your decode, I met him in mental telepathy in Oklahoma City. He probably looked back and he's probably like, oh my God. And what could he do? Nobody could do anything. Everybody tried to stop Jean at that point when I was in Oklahoma City, and nobody could fucking stop her. She was just going to go do whatever the hell she wanted to do. She wanted to run her fucking racket. She wanted to tell her lies. She wants to blame everyone else. Jean Jernigan Roberts. And she wanted to get away with her shit. And she got a bunch of nasty motherfuckers out helping spread lies for her and covering her fucking ass. So anyway, that's where we're at today. So then also, okay, so the Simple Life. So this also goes to Lukenbach, Texas, which is one of my favorite songs. Lukenbach, Texas, if you say it again, it's Looking Back, Texas. So she's using the Alice in Wonderland reference in it. So anyway, which is a connection to, again, Ben's family. Ben's family has family that lives near Lukenbach, Texas. So in the 80s, when we lived on Alma School in Southern, after I lived in Chicago, my mom, Clay, and my dad, Jeff, they got tired of the city life, living in the valley, and they picked up and they moved to the Grand Canyon, Lake Powell. So every time I hear that song, I always think of my parents. I always think of Ben's family, because they just live in a cute area of Texas. But that's all linked because the Lukenbach, Lucky, Green, and I lived on Emerald. So then also people told me SNL, also Lanes is in it, and also Alienation. Remember how I decoded when I decoded her planning to do the World Trade Center attack? Okay, she planned to do the World Trade Center attack, and in a part of that, I told you I decoded tons and tons of it. In a part of it, I decoded out the words alienation, and then it went into annihilation, which is more terrorism that she has planned after 9/11, which is present day until the end, where she gets to publicly get away with ice raping the shit out of everyone and gets to do whatever the hell she wants to anybody, anywhere. Any age, any person. She just gets to do what she wants, what she's already been doing since the late 60s with her stolen AI. So anyway, also, so alienation, that also connects to New Mexico, and the Area 51, and the V1 is VA, and then she used Vans again. So the Vans goes back all the way back to the early 70s, to my grade school years, when I went to East Globe and went to a car show, and I saw this van that scared the shit out of me. Vans, the shoe was probably already out by then, but I was real little. But that's the first instance of the Vans in my life. And I was scared of this van because there was a big, gigantic devil airbrushed on it. And the people at the car show were playing The Devil Went Down to Georgia, and I was real little. And all I could see was this van with this gigantic devil on it and this devil music, and I was frozen in my footsteps staring at this freaking van. I was scared to death of it. So I was scared so bad, I was traumatized by these kind of vans all of my life. I was able to get de-traumatized when I lived in Slidell, but my trauma was so bad it was traumatizing everybody else, because all anybody could see when they saw these vans, because they're in my brain of mental telepathy, and that's all they could see. So my brain got de-traumatized over it. So, and I always say devil van because it's what it was a devil van. So she's using Vans here, okay, in Alien Nation, VA, and then she's using N Nation. So also at the intersection at Alma School in Southern, this was like my spot. Okay, this is where we all went. We went there to hang out. We went to the movies there. We went there shopping. We would go skateboarding there. There was a bear cover skateboard shop there that we went to all the time. There was a Lisa Frank store. The Lisa Frank store is important. Lisa Frank makes those famous stickers. Okay, and so we always went into the Lisa Frank store. So Lisa Frank connects to Anne Frank. So Anne Frank, I decoded a lot on Anne Frank. So Anne Frank connects to the diary of Anne Frank. Okay, so you have to see all code on Anne Frank. But I'm going to continue with this path right here, how she's linking in Anne Frank. So this links to the future of my going to Chicago. And I had a diary. I had a jelly bean diary. And you know who chewed jelly beans? Ronald Reagan. Okay. So when I was there, that's when the United States was charged or caught in the Contra scandal for Iran-Contra. So it would have been in 1986. So then that would be right there, evidence with my jelly bean diary. That would be evidence of her pre-planning to assassinate Reagan, in which I decoded she did assassinate Reagan. She shot him, and then she gave him a heart attack. She took his life, and the Reagan family knows this. I was able to speak to a member of the Reagan family. They know exactly who Jean is. They know exactly the stunts that Jean is trying to pull. Literally what she does now. And they do know that she assassinated their family. So there's no way she can lie out of that. She's assassinated a lot of people. So, okay. So also in 1986, remember the set of ciphers that I decoded that Jean wrote with her Manson occult, and she did it around Breakfast at Tiffany's. Okay, so not Breakfast at Tiffany's. Oh my gosh, what was it? Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier? That's what it was. Okay, Breakfast at Tiffany's was a part of it. Now let me tell you this weird thing about Tiffany's. Okay, so when I was little and I was going to school and I was living in Globe and I was going to elementary school at East Globe, I went to elementary school with a girl named Tiffany. And when we moved into Chandler later on, when I went to 6th grade in Chandler, when I hit 6th grade, we moved to Chandler. When we moved to Chandler, it was like the year after that, when I was going to Willis Junior High. I was in class. I was in 7th grade. I was in class, and there was Tiffany from my grade school in Globe, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I moved. I'm like, you moved here? And she's like, yeah. And I just thought it was so weird. Well, that shows that she was stalking that family too. And she used Tiffany, my little grade school friend Tiffany, and was clearly stalking that girl's family also. She used Tiffany as a theme and also a reference in Tiffany glass, Tiffany lamps, in her terror plots, okay, for doing the World Trade Center attack. So the Breakfast at Tiffany's goes to Sidney Poitier's Who's Coming to Dinner. So anyway, the initials of Breakfast at Tiffany's is BAT. So this is crazy. This is going to get real crazy. So I decoded her stalking and trying to control the Fox News network. Okay. So I was in Slidell when I decoded this, and it was crazy what I was figuring out. I'm like, oh my God, she's like stalking like television networks. And I was like, oh my God, I was freaking out. So anyway, I'm like decoding this gigantic like cipher puzzle based on all the dates on the formation of the Fox network. And I actually got to meet the Oh my gosh, I never call him by his right name, and he knows that. He's like, it's all right because your brain gets blinked by Gene, so he doesn't care. I always call him Rupert Holmes, but his name is Rupert Murdoch. But it's always in my head. I'm like, and someone said, she's calling you Rupert Holmes. He's like, I know. Like, what, like, I'm not doing it on purpose. Like, the only way that I can remember his name. So it's like a running joke. But he wasn't going like, I know, twisting his mustache for those of you little fucking Gene lovers out there. Pretending to be people that you're not. You're a goddamn Ku Klux Klan Satanist freaking occult. Anyway, so he just thought it was funny that I was calling him from the Pina Colada song. He knew that I had decoded all those ciphers. And then he came on and he talked to me and he's like, and I put a memory point on it. So I'm like, I got to write all this out. And I'm like, I don't feel like writing this all out right now. I'm tired. And I'm like, let me mark my spot. Like when I was decoding the direction, the north, south, east, west directional layover over a Roman clock. And I gave myself a head start, and then I left myself a memory spot. So when I pick it back up, I can finish decoding out the rest of it, which is something Jane tried to steal from me and run off to the FBI acting like she's Mrs. fucking Fab, thinking she's going to rip it off from me. No, Gene, you're not. Anyway, so I decoded this cipher set. So he came on. He's like, oh my God. He's like, Christina, in the future, when I get to meet you, in the future, I want to go through this with you, like, in person. Like, I want to step through all this with you. Like, I want to go through this with you. He was freaking out. And so... Anyway, so the BAT, okay, so that also goes to Australia. So the BAT, what Jean is using is BAT. She's making a baseball reference. That's the initials of Breakfast at Tiffany. And I told you I was born into a baseball sex trafficking Ponzi. Jean Jernigan Roberts and her Manson occult traffic babies, children, and adults in it. I've said it a million freaking times. I'm tired freaking saying it. I focus on the terrorism instead because everybody knows that Jean Roberts is a trafficker. She disguises it a million different things. Present day, trying to get away with the same old shit she's always ever done with a whole new freaking spin. Keep it fucking going. Keep fucking buying and pimping and abusing the babies. Anyway, so in this is the guy's name that was a friend of mine in high school in North Chicago, Bryant Johnson. Okay, he was a guy I had a crush on, and we dated for like a little bit, and Jean loves Bryants, okay? She loves them. She stalks the ever-living fucking shit out of them. Stevens, Pauls, Bryans, Michaels, Peters. She stalks the ever-living effing shit out of them. And I've already went through on my podcast decoding all the ciphers that she uses around the name Brian or Bryant. Okay, so anyway, so Bryant's name is in this. So what's in the center of it is RYN. So again, she's making her rye bread reference. She always uses rye bread as a reference. In ciphers that I've decoded, date, timestamp, throughout my entire life, she always uses rye bread reference. She refers to me as rye bread, and she refers to my friends in high school in Chicago as rye bread. So anyway, I'm like looking at this, and then somebody goes, that's a brand of a bat. And I'm like, no freaking way. And then someone goes, oh my God. Then someone goes, Louisville Slugger. She's trying to frame Farrakhan, or trying to make it look like Farrakhan's people are involved, or trying to make it look like black people are doing it and black people did not do this. Gene Roberts is Mrs. Robinson. Gene Roberts did it. And she's making get out of jail free cards for herself in the future, where she goes back and suckers the same people she assaulted, thinking they'll fall for her stick. Which for a minute, people fell for it, but they're wise to it now. Nobody falls for Jean's shit anymore. I mean, and she will blame it on a black person in a second, just like she'll blame a Mason. She'll blame a black Mason. She'll say everything is everybody else's fault. She's white and fucking fabulous. Leave her alone. No, this is Jean Jernigan Roberts doing. So anyway, and who would freaking do that? We were kids. You are an old freaking lady. She's like in her late 70s now. Anyway, so Johnson bat brand. Turns out there's a bat brand named Johnson. And listen to this. RG Johnson Sports, based in Denmark, Maine, is, and then also Denmark, she uses that, is an established maker of custom handcrafted wooden baseball bats operating for over 80 years. Founded by Rupert Johnson in 1934. These bats are known for being hand-turned on a lathe. They produce customized high-quality ash and other wooden bats for all levels of play, including professional, college, and high school. So she's using Rupert Holmes here. She's using also Pina Colada, but it's more evidence of her stalking Fox News Network. And you guys see all my decode around all of 1986. I got a ton of it. She committed a hell of a ton of crime. So anyway, so she's using my decode out more. I see she's using Sherlock Holmes for Rupert Holmes. And then, she uses Sharon Tate. She calls herself Sharon Tate. And then she's making a Tex Watson reference, because it would go Sherlock and Watson, so which is Manson. Also in this is Nichols. You can see in the words Pina Colada is Nichols, and then Quarter, and then North Chicago, then Nina Pinta, then Pinata. My nickname when I was a child was Nina. Santa Maria, and then Columbus is in that, and Pint of Milk is in that. There's also, this is important here for my ex-husband, who was born in 1983, Ben, who was also stalked by Gene Roberts. There was an American punk band that formed in 1983, and this is one I want to put out to you. Rodney Linderman, and then Dean Clean, and then back to Linderman again. So that's where I want to end this recording.